You, Mr. Avinash Chun, you speak English? You are in front of me now because you're what?
He's wanted out of Denver, Colorado, is my understanding.
Okay, you want a bond?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so the reason we brought you out here now is because your lawyer is asking me to set you a bond. I don't know. I've never met you before. I don't even know why you're wanted. But a couple things. Number one, and my main concern is public safety. Number two, my other concern is if we set you a bond, are you going to go back to the jurisdiction that you wanted from? I don't know. Let's get to know you. So, Day, tell me about him.
So it's 10 pages and I'm trying to read as fast as possible, but my information is limited. It's regarding a
10
negligent.
pages of criminal history?
No, sorry. The affidavit for the probable cause. I just received it as he was being brought up. And so I'm reading this in real time. But
Going to take more time?
well, I know you have to go to court 3. I can supplement after the original approach, but the warrant was issued out on December 25th. So on Christmas for negligent bodily injury. I'm reading the probable cause. There was a well-being check request on December 16th, where this defendant was in care of 2 individuals, and his negligent care was sufficient enough that when they investigated, they believed the children required or could have had sustained infection, required amputation, or even death. And they found dried blood. They found, hold on, sorry, it's reddish brown stains on items behind the bedroom door. It goes on for some time, but it's generally sort of disarray and injuries all over, malnourishment. But I spoke with the demanding jurisdiction and they are requesting him be held at no bond until he is returned to the They do want him, and if the court
If there's only one count or 2 counts?
I think there's 2, but they're under 2 different statutes. When I run the the warrant from Colorado, it looks like he's being charged under 2 different statutes. But because I just got the information, I don't have the charging instrument.
Is it negligent homicide or is it negligent?
They're not dead, but it's that the possibility, just because of the despondent state of the living conditions, the 2 at-risk individuals.
Minor children
Caregiving center operated at the residence.
or just special needs?
Looks to go on some time. Text from November 25th. Oh, here we go. It's 2 adult males with intellectual developmental disabilities. And so vulnerable complainants. And I believe one of the arguments that counsel was bringing for him to obtain a bond was that he takes care of autistic individuals, and obviously him being charged with these felonies or even 1 felony of vulnerable individuals, it becomes a public safety risk by the nature of what's already happened. And so with it being over a month and with the conditions of children being, like I said, almost amputation or death, and I can go further into
Any
the
prior criminal history?
No, Your Honor. But the fact that it was for such a long time and due to their state, and so I'm not sure if they were at a point in their condition, like physical or medical condition, is that they were unable to leave. Obviously, that'd be more akin to constructive kidnapping, but I don't know yet because, again, I'm still reading through it.
Constructive kidnapping.
Well, just because if he's malnourished them or deprived them to a point where they're unable to physically capably leave. The well-being check started in November, but I don't think they did a wellness check until December 15th. Again, I don't know. I'm just reading parts of it. And so I don't know to the extent of it before law enforcement was notified.
Yes, Judge. So a couple of things. First, this case is from Adams County, Colorado. My understanding is that my client was in Sydney, Australia, when this warrant came through. He was in Sydney on the day that December 25th, when the warrant came through. He came back to go back to his hometown, and during that period, the warrant came through and he got picked up. So this.
Oh, I was wondering why he's here in Houston. Are you telling me that he had a flight connecting to Denver?
My understanding is there's no direct flight from Denver to Sydney, so he had to come through Houston. And so on the way out there, the warrant was not issued. And while he's over there, the warrant's issued. He's coming back. He gets picked up for it here in Houston. Now, It's a charge. We went through a whole bunch of stuff. This isn't probable cause court. All that stuff is in Colorado. That's not here. Here, we're talking about a fugitive case, public safety, and whether or not he's going to turn himself into the demanded jurisdiction. So a lot of public safety talk has been going on. If he were over there and we're talking about public safety, it would be rectified by just saying, don't go talk to whoever is playing witness, right? And so that's the jurisdiction that has the authority to do that. Here, we're just trying to see if he's going to go answer for this charge. He hasn't been running from anyone. He got picked up immediately after he came back into the United States. He is not a flight risk. He came back into town. He didn't know this was out there, and so he hasn't been running. He hasn't had an opportunity to avail himself to Colorado. He hasn't messed up in your court. He's got no criminal history. He's got family that supports him, that's willing to post a bond for him. He's got skin in the game if you allow him to go turn himself in.
Okay,
Sorry, I'm just reading the kidnapping part. It says, asked if they were allowed to leave the basement. She stated no. Regarding the targets, asked them to go back downstairs when they come up.
Again, Judge, this stuff is irrelevant to whether or not he's going to go turn himself in, whether or not he's been on the run, whether or not he even knew of these charges. If he needs to answer for that, he can't answer for it here in front of you. He can't argue against that here. That's in Colorado.
So part of what I'm trying to figure out is if they've notified him regarding this warrant, and obviously that's going to play a part if he was notified to return himself and then he went to Australia. Obviously, I'm going to have a few more questions.
you want to like pass it for just maybe 5-10 minutes and take a look?
Yes, Judge.
Do that. Let me, because I've got a couple things to do here and it looks like he doesn't have all the questions answered. Give me just maybe like 5-10 minutes. We can come back and reconvene so that you know exactly, because if I set him a bond, I want you to be absolutely sure of both of you guys.
Thank you,
Please.
Judge.
Okay, thanks. Are you ready, Mr. Kim?
Oh, sorry. So, no, I'm just calling the detective right now. Honestly, one of the bigger issues is if he was notified that there was a warrant out for his arrest and he fled to Australia, I'm going to be even more emphatic on no bond, but that's the part I'm trying to confirm right now.
Why come back?
Uh-huh.
Why come back if you knew? You know what I mean?
But
I don't. So,
change my mind, but still.
well, I mean, he's not ready regardless.
I mean, yeah, I read the probable cause a little bit more, and it is pretty egregious for the state of the children, but obviously that goes to public safety and not so much the flight risk part of it.
Right. And that's, they'll address that when they get there. Right. I want to know, is he going to go back?
Well, and I specifically asked the sheriff's office, not the DA, because they can't get a hold of, or you can't get a hold of detective or the ADA on the flight risk part of it, because she was pretty emphatic on the phone asking for no bond, but she didn't clarify regarding the self-surrender part. And so I emailed the extradition specialist and she hasn't gotten back to me. My guess is she's contacting the same people that we're contacting at the office. Amy's already left 3 voicemails at different.
You want to roll it to tomorrow?
Judge, so the unknown should not go against my client. He's presumed innocent. He was coming back to go to the demanding jurisdiction. He had no notice of this because he is in
I don't know
custody.
that.
And
They
also,
haven't proved that he knew it.
but the
They haven't-
burden isn't innocence. This isn't a criminal charge. This is an administrative charge, and it's public safety, and it's and flight risk.
You're mentioning different things that you don't have information on. The burden's on the state to prove that he needs to be in custody. You haven't proved that. You haven't told them why it's public safety risk. You're saying that you're waiting on 3 calls, people to call you back. My guy is sitting in jail. Why would you do this? He's got a right to go turn himself in. We're asking for a bond.
I disagree, Your Honor.
There's no right.
Right.
There's no right.
In terms of,
I don't have to give him a bond.
right.
There's no right. This is not an entitlement.
He's in custody. He's got a right to go turn himself. There is no public safety concern. They haven't proved there's a public safety
But the
concern.
extradition statute is that he doesn't have a constitutional right to bond because it's not a criminal case. It's permitted by the court, but it's not a basic default for an administrative charge for fugitive, as long as I prove that the warrant is valid, which I did by sharing the teletype. And so it's not the same. The code itself specifically states that, with the exception of death penalty cases and life in prison, is that the court can permit a bond, but he is not automatically granted one because he's not being charged with a crime. It's an administrative charge for a fugitive case that he's already been apprehended on. So it's a different burden, and it's not, yeah.
Would you be amenable to one?
So right now, no, just because the nature, and I understand it's both that the court would like to hear on, but regarding the public safety part, because he had these people, vulnerable people in his care for such a long time, and the abuse is at least until November. The warrant obviously wasn't signed by the judge until December 20th, and the warrant was live December 25th, is that because of the extent of it and the fact that he recently went, I know it's
You know
not,
when he took off to Australia?
don't.
Do you know when?
Before the warrant came in place, my understanding is he was over there, then the warrant came through on the 25th. On his way back into town, he got picked up. He didn't get picked up.
You don't
on the
know
way
when
out.
he went there, though?
He told me he went there to celebrate Christmas with his family.
And my thing is, and obviously this is the part that I'm trying to confirm, but the detective here, after the original patrol officer followed up, is that the detective talked to him at length regarding these abuses. And so what I'm trying to figure out is either during that initial questioning or after the warrant went live, the detective said, hey, don't leave America or don't leave Colorado. He then did that. Then obviously that becomes a pretty big issue. I understand regarding the return part, but the fact that he fled, obviously, if someone with a badge tells you, hey, don't run, and then you leave America.
Can't imagine that they're going to tell him that.
There's no proof of that, Judge.
I can't, I mean.
Well, that's what I'm
I-
trying to verify. That's what I'm saying. I don't have that
I
information,
don't-
which is my point.
When officers have enough to arrest someone, they just do it, right? I don't,
I mean, me working intake, I've had ones where I ask for a 2B warrant, depending on the circumstances. And obviously, I'm not licensed in Colorado and I don't work in their DA's office, but there are circumstances where they have the probable cause, but it's stronger with an arrest warrant versus whatever situation landed in the first place. So I couldn't say for sure, and we're trying to get a hold of ADA prosecuting it right now to figure out why. So the short answer is I don't know, which is why I'm trying to get more information.
how long do you think you'll be ready till you go forward?
Well, since we left voicemail messages in 3 different agencies at 2 different levels, hopefully by the end of today. But for what it's worth, he's already waived. So if he's revoking it, then we can go by way of governor's warrant, but
Judge, we're talking about burdens. This is what we do every day. This is what we argue for every day.
Crap, I still need to go to court 3. Totally forgot. God dog it.
I mean, if,
Hey,
are you about
I
to,
just don't have time.
right, will you be returning today or what did you?
No, yeah, I'll be returning. I totally forgot.
Do you-
I gotta go.
Okay,
God dog it. So let's wait till we come back. If we don't have anything, then
I'll follow up. Okay, yes, Judge. I'll follow up in like 30 minutes to see if anybody else can contact back. Because I assume everybody has a boss. And so if I can't get a hold of the original detective, hopefully his, I don't know what they call it, sergeant or lieutenant, or somebody can shed light on it.
I'm confused as to what's going on. Is he coming back? or-
Yeah, he's coming back.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because she's left voicemail messages with this person, the extradition specialist, and the detective. But yeah, so it's not clear after the original conversation what,
Right.
yeah.
I get it. All right.
So I don't know. I mean, because I've agreed on bond before. This is just.
hey, thanks for being patient. Hey, Hadi, how are you, man?
We're just talking about different smoking techniques because Ricardo's thinking about getting.
Yeah, I need my smoker. I need my
Ricardo's thinking
Yeah,
about getting
smoke them if you
smoker.
got them.
I have my 1080 gravity fed smoker, and so I cook like 7 ribs at once.
Oh, that kind of smoker.
Yeah,
I
mine
Yeah.
is.
thought you were talking about cigarettes.
No, no.
Brisket,
Brisket
food.
Man, I'm way off.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Unfortunately, I can only present what I have, and nobody's called me back. So unfortunately.
but you can't, I mean,
I know.
you're asking 3 agencies to call you in an hour. That's not feasible and that's just not enough time.
Anyway, but that's all I have to present. So
What do you think about giving them a bond?
I mean, ultimately, you're right. I don't have enough to argue for the flight risk part other than the inherent nature of it being a fugitive case. But it's just with the,
If he would have been in Australia and they extradited him back, that's one thing.
well, that's
No.
a different pickle. And we actually have someone that handles just international extraditions. And I haven't worked on any personally, but I know that's a whole different ballgame. And so,
What I'm saying, what I'm alluding to is that he's back on his own accord, whether he knew or whether he didn't. Regardless, it doesn't. My only concern is if he goes back or if he if he goes back or he doesn't go back. And you're old enough to know that actions have consequences. I'm going to set you a bond now. It's not going to be a low bond, but I'm going to set you a bond. We give you 14 days from the date of your release to go back to Is it Denver?
Adams County, my understanding is Denver.
Okay. If you don't go, you're old enough to know that actions have consequence, and the consequence is that I'm going to revoke this bond. I'm going to set it at 0. I'm not going to give you another one, and you're going to lose all the money that you paid here. Do you understand? Now, according to Murphy's Law, what happens, if it can happen, it will happen. So don't wait till the last day, because I don't care if you come back here, oh, kicking and screaming, oh, well, I had a death, or I had this, my car broke down. I don't care. The minute you get out, you need to make arrangements to go back there. If you try to get on a plane, they're going to arrest you again. So you need to make other kind of travel arrangements and get to Denver as quick as you can. You understand? Now, what's an appropriate bond?
Judge, I would ask just to have enough skin in the game, considering he doesn't have any criminal history, considering he was on his way back. It's not like he was running for a year, 2 years. The warrant came through on the 25th of December. We're at January, what's today, January 7th? So I would say 2,500.
I would.
I think that's pretty low considering it's a serious felony, you know?
That'd be, he's got to pay 100%, so that would be a $25,000 bond in other courts. Since he's got to pay 100%, it's 2,500.
I was gonna say, because there's two, and I don't want to rehash everything, so just vulnerable complainants and the extent of the accusations for the period of time of the abuses that we ask for 10,000. So.
And Judge, the idea is not for him to go back and continue working before taking care of this. The idea is he goes back and takes care of this and gets some orders in place so he can continue working if the concerns are that where he's working, there's vulnerable people. So if he gives you a bond.
No. My only concern is that he goes and turns himself in.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do. I don't care where you go work. I don't care if you're going to hang out with Jesus. The only thing you need to do is you need to go turn yourself in. That's the only thing I'm ordering you to do. That's what you need to do. Now, he wants a $10,000 bond. He wants a $2,500 bond. I'll set your bond at $6,000. Okay. If you make the bond, you know, you need to go from the time that you make bond, I give you 14 days to go turn yourself in. Now, you need to also understand this, is that they're going to make travel arrangements to get Denver to come pick you up, and that can happen at no cost to you. For you to be able to bond out, you have to withdraw your waiver. You now have, how many days credits do you have so far? Let's see, you got arrested on
I had to reset my computer.
the 7th, it looks like, right?
Yesterday.
Right. So you have around 2 days credit. If you withdraw your waiver to go post that bond, you lose those 2 days. You don't have to make a decision now. I'm just telling you what happens and the consequence of you wanting to make bond, because I don't know if you're going to make it or not. If you want, we can roll you to tomorrow or the following day so you can reach out to your family to see if you're able to make the bond. And if you are, okay, then you do it. I will let you guys talk about it and you tell me what you want to do. Okay?
Thank you, Judge. It'll take 3 minutes to get a decision and I'll let you know.
Take your time, no rush.
Ball right now, if he chooses to do so.
Appreciate it.